几位律师。第一个呢是 Victor Manivo， 他是我的纽约的办公室的管理律师，所以他管理我们纽约办公室。他是有5年经验的律师，而且在之前也有就是在别的地方工作。然后呢，他也是一个高材生，他是 Cardozo 法学院毕业的，然后也是处理过很多移民方面的案子。第2位呢是 William 律师，王威廉律师，他是 Hofstra 法学院毕业的，然后也是丰富的刑事辩护还有告警察的背景，还有移民，所以呢，他是我们的也是有经验的律师。然后最右边的是 Ariel 严，他是我的加州办公室的经理，那他是处理这里的业务，所以你们呢有什么事情都可以找他，那他给你们大家介绍一下。
好，谢谢王律师刚刚精彩的演讲。就是你们知道，我旁边2位是我们的资深律师，好像左边的是万律师，右边的是王威廉律师。那要我们的律师为我们开始今天的主题吧。
Hi everyone.
Hey everyone.
Good afternoon. We're here to talk about U-Visa, and so to get this started, let's ask Bill, what is a U-Visa? Can you give us a brief background on what it is?
大家好，下午好。我们来这里是主要跟大家讲一下 U 签证的主要问题，然后万律师是问王律师有什么是 U 签证呢？
Okay, Victor. A U visa is a crime victim visa.
U 签证是一个受害者签证。
That means that it is reserved for people who have been a victim of a crime.
这说明这是给那些是受害者的人所需要的。
U visa also applies. What is another requirement is that a person who has a U visa needs to have suffered a big injury, and they have to have cooperated with police.
然后 U 签证也是给那些人有受到严重伤害，然后也跟警方提供帮助的。
Now, Victor, can anybody apply for U visa? What are the limitations on that?
Well, that's a common question that we get. People want to know, can I get this? I was a victim of a crime. And one of the main advantages of a U visa is, regardless of how you entered, you can get a U visa. If you entered on a B visa or an F visa, you can get a U visa. And even if you entered without inspection, you crossed the border illegally, you can also still get a U visa.
U 签证是比较特殊的签证，无论你的是用什么身份进来，好像旅游签证学生签证或者任何签证，甚至是非法移民，你也可以申请。
So it's one of the very few statuses that you can get, regardless of how you entered.
这是其中一个比较少有的签证，你可以得到，无论你是怎么进入的。
And now, Bill, why don't you give us a brief history of U visa? Where did it come from?
Okay, Victor. The U visa was passed by Congress in the year 2000.
然后我们王律师现在会给大家一个简单的介绍。U 签证是怎么来的？U 签证是在2000年美国国会主张的。
Now, the U visa is supposed to have 2 purposes.
U 签证主要是有2个主要的功能。
The first of those purposes is that it's supposed to help law enforcement investigate crimes.
第一个功能是帮助一些执法部门可以进一步的进行执法。
But more importantly, what it's supposed to do is to provide an avenue for immigrants to report crimes.
最重要的是，他们可以帮助那些移民或者是非法移民，可以报告一下或者提供一下，这样有罪案发生了。
That way, a immigrant who may not have status won't be afraid to go to the police.
这样那些没有身份的人就不会害怕去找警察帮忙。
Now, Victor, can any crime victim get a U visa, or are there limitations on that?
是所有人都可以申请U签证吗？这样有限制吗？
That's another common question that people have. They come to us saying, I'm a crime victim, can I get a U visa? Well, the answer is no. It's not any crime.
这是一个很常有的问题，有很多人过来说，哦，我受了伤，然后或者我是一个受害者，我可以申请U签证吗？答案不一定。
You have to be the victim of a very specific, serious crime.
因为你需要是一个受害者，是某一类案件的受害者。
And the law lists them out. Like, for example, you have to be the victim of murder.
因为它法律上面有很认真的写出来，你需要是一个好像是谋杀案的受害者，
or abduction or kidnapping.
或者是勒索，或者是被绑架的那种，
Sexual assault or rape.
或者是受到性侵犯啊，或者是被强奸啊之类的，
Blackmail.
或者是被人勒索，
Domestic violence when your spouse beats you up.
或者是那种严重的罪行，或者被你的伴侣攻击了打。
Extortion or somebody's trying to get money out of you.
或者是有人敲诈你，想要从你身上拿钱，
False imprisonment.
或者是随便把你关进监狱，错误的关押，
Female genital mutilation.
或者是切割你的女性器官，
Felonious assault.
或者是很严重的伤害。
And this is very common when somebody gets robbed. This is similar to that. You get beat up.
这是很类似的。如果有一点你可能被人打或者类似的伤害。
And one of the things that I already mentioned was kidnapping and murder.
就好像我们之前有提到的抢劫啊，或者你被人绑架啊，或者谋杀。
Sorry. Also part of it is slavery or prostitution.
或者刚刚提到的你被人当作是人口贩卖的，
And
或者
torture.
或者是被人严重的伤害，做奴隶。
So you can see from this list, it's not just something bad happened to you. It has to be like a really serious one.
你可以看到我们刚刚提到的，就不是一个很普通的伤，需要很严重的伤。
Okay. So now that we listed out the crime spill, why don't we talk about what the requirements are?
Okay, Victor. As I said earlier, there are 3 requirements in order to qualify for a U visa.
需要申请优签证有什么条件呢？就好像刚刚所说的，有3个很重要的条件。
Now, as Victor has just explained, the first of those is that you have to be a victim of a very specific crime.
第一，你需要是一个特殊案件的受害者。
Now, second, what you have to do is that you then have to suffer a big injury, either emotional or physical, because of that crime.
然后第二，你需要受到很严重的伤害，有可能是精神上的或者心理上的。
And then finally, you have to have cooperated with law enforcement in helping to catch the criminal.
最后你需要跟那个执法部门合作，帮他们去逮捕这个犯罪。
That means calling the police, not only calling the police, but helping them in their investigation and prosecution.
这说明你们不只要报警找警察，也要帮助他们，协助他们破案。
Now, Victor, with these general principles in mind, what should somebody do if they're the victim of a crime?
那有你们这些基本概念在脑里面的话，那如果你受到伤害，你应该要怎么办呢？
So usually people come to us, right? Like they want to be our clients. They say, "I'm a victim of a crime. What should I do now?"
通常有人如果受到伤害，然后他来到我们说，我是一个受害者，我应该怎么办呢？
Our first advice is always call 911. 911 right away.
我们第一个建议通常都是要立即打911，立即报警。
Don't call your lawyer. Don't call your friends. Don't call your relatives. You have to call for help from the police and for help from the hospital if you're injured.
不要打电话给律师，不要打电话给亲戚朋友，你要打电话给警察，因为你需要得到警察他们的帮助。
And you're calling 911 not because you want to get U visa. You're calling 911 because you need help.
你打电话给警察不是为了拿到这个优签证的，是因为你们需要找他们帮忙，找警察帮忙。
Now, if you're a crime victim and you call 911, what happens? The police arrive, right?
如果你们是一个受害者，然后你们打电话给警察了，那到时候警察出来发生什么事呢？
And when the police arrive, you tell them what happened, you help them to catch whoever did something bad to you.
当警察到达以后，你们就跟警察说到底发生什么事。
And that's the essence of U-Visa. You have to help the police catch like criminals.
这就是最主要的优签证的要求，就是你们帮助警察看一下帮他们抓住这个罪犯。
So one of the common questions is like, but I don't have status, so why would I call the police? I might get in trouble.
第一个通常常有的问题是，如果我们没有身份的话，那我们要怎么办呢？我们会有麻烦吗？
Well, that's the whole point of U-Visa also. It's to encourage crime victims and to protect them so that they can go to the police without fear.
这是一个优签证主要的额外的目的吧，就是为了让你们跟执法部门合作，然后要求你们就最好尽量提供这些犯罪的知识。
So, we already talked about the two requirements, right? The serious crime and then helping the police. Now, Bill, what about the third requirement that you talked about? What kind of injury should you show if you want to get U-Visa?
Okay, Victor. Well, one, you have to remember that it's not just any injury that's going to be sufficient.
你们就好像我们刚刚说的有3个要求嘛，然后剩下来那最重要的那个要求，你要证明是有身体上的伤害，那怎样的伤害呢？刚刚律师有说是受到严重的伤害。
The injury you have to suffer has to be a big injury.
你要受到的是一个很严重的伤害才可以。
And that can be either physical or emotional.
它可以是身体上的或者精神上的。
Now, when I say physical, I mean that's somebody's done something to your body.
当我们提到身体上的，就有可能是有人直接对你的身体造成伤害。
Like for example, somebody robs you and they stab you. That's a physical injury.
比例说有人绑住你啊，或者直接用刀插你。
Or somebody assaults you and they throw you down a set of stairs and you break your arm.
或者举例说，有人把你推下楼梯，然后你不小心弄到手了之类的。
Essentially, something that would require you to go to hospital. That's a serious physical injury.
也就是简单的来说，就是那些需要去医院的，就有受到伤害。
But physical injury is not the only kind of injury that you can show.
当然，身体上的伤害不是唯一的伤害，你可以。
Emotional injury is something you can also work with.
精神上的伤害你也是可以继续的。
Now, by emotional injury, you have to remember crimes are very traumatic experiences.
作为精神上的伤害，有可能是让你的情绪受到波动之类的。
So oftentimes we have people come to us who they suffer depression, they're sad because of what happened to them.
有很多时候有人会来找我们说，我的精神很焦虑啊，然后我精神很差啊，或者是很伤心啊之类的。
Or they can't get out of their mind when somebody shows them a gun when they're being robbed and they lose sleep over this.
或者是有人用枪指着他们，然后他们没办法睡觉啊之类的。
These are the kinds of emotional injuries that you can use and show.
这是其中一类，你可以证明说你有受到精神上的伤害。
The biggest thing to take away is it has to be major, not any I just feel a little bad about it is going to work.
所以这需要是一个重大的事件，就你不能说普通一件事就可以这样子申请优先证了。
Now, Victor, is there any sort of time limit on a U visa, or can you do this when you have an older case?
Okay, so U-Visa is fairly new. Not a lot of people know it, but now more and more, people are being aware of it. And then they come to us and ask, I have this really old case, can I still do U-Visa?
优签证那旧的优签证可以做吗？旧的受伤的案子可以申请优签证吗？我们经常会有客人来找我们说，我的案子很旧，那这样子可以申请优签证吗？
Like for example, I got robbed 10 years ago. Can I still do this?
比例说，我可能10年前被人打劫了，这样子我可以申请吗？
And the answer is yes, you can still do U-Visa, even with really, really old cases.
答案是的，你仍然可以申请优签证，就算是一个很老旧的案子。
And that's another wonderful thing about U-Visa. It doesn't have a time limit. You can be a victim of a crime from ages ago.
这也是一个U签证最好的情况你就不一定要一个你可以是一个很古老的案子，你仍然有可能可以申请 U 签证。
Of course, it's going to be harder to prove your case if it's old because it may be hard to get documents.
当然有可能会变得比较困难去证明你的案子，因为你的案子有可能旧了，然后没办法拿到任何文件之类的。
Or maybe hard to get like medical records to show that you were injured because it's an old case.
有可能是因为案子太旧了，你没办法拿到医院的记录之类的。
But it doesn't necessarily mean you can't apply for it. It just means that you have to work harder at getting more evidence to show, oh, this really happened 10 years ago.
也不能说完全没办法做，但你要更加努力，然后去拿这些好像10年以前的证据之类的。
Okay, so another good thing about U-Visas is you can use it to help your family members. And Bill, can you tell me about that?
Yeah, Victor. If you have applied for a U visa and you're over 21, that means you can apply for certain family members.
另外一件好的事情对于 U 签证来说，你是可以申请家人的。如果你是一个U 签证的受害者，那么你的亲戚有可能可以申请 U 签证。
If you're over 21, that means that you can apply for a status for both your spouse and any kids that you have that are under 21.
如果你是21岁的成年人，你受到伤害，那么你可以申请你的配偶或者你的小孩是那个21岁以下但未婚的。
Now, that's for people that are over the age of 21. Now, Victor, can people who are under the age of 21 apply for status for their family as well?
Well,
那么作为刚刚提到的是21岁以上的人，那21岁以下的人可以申请吗？
well, yes. If you are under 21, you can apply for a U visa. The minimum age is 17. So as long as you're 17-year-old and you're a victim of a crime, you can apply for a U visa.
然后如果你是21岁以下，你仍然可以申请 U 签证的，因为 U 签证它的年龄限制是17岁以上。
Now, you talked about people who are over 21, but what if you're between 17 and 21? Who can you help with U visa?
然后那刚刚你说过关于那个成年人，那些对于17岁到21岁之间的人，他们可以申请谁呢？
Well, if you're between 17 and 21, you can apply or petition for your spouse,
如果你是17岁到21岁之间，你可以申请你的配偶、
your children,
你的孩子、
your parents,
你的父母，
and this is a difference from the other one, and also any unmarried siblings under 18.
这跟之前那个有点不同，还有你其他的兄弟姐妹在18岁以前，然后是未婚的。
So, U visa allows you to help family members. It's not just for the crime victim, but also their immediate family.
U 签证不只让你自己可以得到一个身份，也可以让你帮助这些直系亲属拿到身份。
And the way it works is you can apply for U visa for yourself and your family member at the same time. And usually if the U visa application is approved, the petition for the family member is approved at the same time.
通常情况下，你可以在申请你自己 U 签证的同时，也为你的亲戚朋友就直系亲属申请 U 签证。如果你的 U 签证被批准了，那你的亲戚你申请的那一部分人，他们的也会受到批准。
So we just talked about how you can have an old case and you can help your family. Bill, maybe you can talk about more of the benefits of getting a U visa. What else can we get?
刚刚我们有提到那旧的案子可以做，然后他们做的有什么好处？如果申请 U 签证，好像亲属可以申请，那还有没有其他的呢？怎么拿到呢？
Well, Victor, one of the biggest benefits of getting a visa is that you can then have your deportation or removal order, you can get rid of it.
然后一个最大的好处是在你拿到 U 签证以后，你可以取消你的递解令和驱除令。
What that means is that once you're granted U visa status, you can then use that. Once you've been granted U visa status, you can then use that status to go back to immigration court and get any orders, whether it's removal, deportation. You can get those orders off your record.
一旦你拿到 U 签证的身份，你可以回去移民庭跟他们说驱除你的缔结令或者驱除你的驱除令。
And once you've gotten rid of that order, then you're able to do things like apply for a driver's license.
然后一旦你拿走你这个缔结令或者驱除令的话，你可以申请驾照，
Or get a social security card.
或者拿社会安全卡号码。
And take other steps so that you can legally work and live in the United States.
甚至可以进一步的合法在美国工作。
Now, Victor, this is a very good benefit, but are there any restrictions that they should know about for U visa?
Sure.
这是一个很好的好处，那他们有没有什么限制呢？
Sure. So one of the main questions we get, like, oh, I'm eligible for a U visa now. If I get it, can I go back to China?
然后主要的问题来了，那如果我得到 U 签证，那我可以回去中国吗？
Unfortunately, the answer is no. You cannot go back to China. You cannot leave the United States.
很不幸的那个答案是不可以，因为你拿到 U 签证以后，你不能回去中国的。
Now, what's the reason for that? The reason for that is we want, or the police officers might want to talk to you again to help them with their case.
然后这理由是有可能警察或者执法部门需要再次跟你谈，要求你提供帮助。
If you leave the country and they can't reach you, then you can't help them.
如果一旦你离开这个国家，那你就没办法帮他们了，那他们也找不到你。
And if you're not helping the police, then your U visa status, if you already got it, could be revoked, could be taken away from you.
然后如果他们找不到你帮忙的话，那你没办法提供帮助，那你的 U 签证如果你得到 U 签证的话，你的 U 签证有可能会被拿走。
So this is like a fairly minor limitation compared to the fact that you get to stay, you can get rid of your removal order, and you get to work.
这是一个很小的问题，因为你们可以直接在美国合法工作、合法停留。
And the limitation on leaving the country doesn't last forever because there's a way for you to get a green card, right, Bill?
That's right, Victor. That is a great benefit here of the U visa is that it provides a direct path for you to get a green card.
对，虽然这有一部分的限制，你不能离开之类的，但还是有一些好处的，也不是长期的，因为 U 签证是可以让你得到绿卡的。
Now, a U visa is issued and lasts for 4 years.
通常 U 签证的有效期是4年。
However, once you've had that U visa for 3 years, then you can apply for a green card.
但问题上，事实上是一旦3年期满，你就可以申请绿卡了。
Once you apply, there are only two hurdles that you have to overcome.
然后一旦你申请了，但在这期间只有2个要求你们需要达到。
First, you got to show that you don't have a criminal record, that you haven't broken the law.
第一，你们需要证明你们没有犯罪，你们没有犯法之类的。
And then second, you have to show that you've been in this country the entire time that you've had your U visa, like Victor explained.
就好像之前万律师有提到的，你需要在证明你这一段时间，在你拿到 U 签证以后的这段时间都一直在美国。
Now, once you've met these qualifications, then you're able to apply for a green card. It's actually very simple.
一旦你达到这一部分的要求，那你就可以申请绿卡了，就很简单的其实。
And also, a lot of people are asking, is this a different kind of green card? Or like, is this just like a temporary green card? And the answer is no. It's a green card that lasts you for 10 years, and that green card status can lead to being a citizen. It's not like a different kind of green card.
有很多人会问，这是不同的绿卡吗？不是，它也是10年的绿卡，之后在你满一段时间以后，你仍然可以申请公民。
And that's another benefit of U visa. A lot of visa statuses don't lead to becoming a green card. Like if you're a tourist visa, you can't really get a green card from that.
这也是 U 签证的一个好处因为很多的签证是没办法让你直接通到绿卡的那个道路的，好像你旅游签证是没办法申请绿卡的。
If you have a student visa, you don't necessarily get a green card after just staying here for like 3 years, like the U visa.
就好像你是学生签证过来的，你是没办法，好像 U 签证这样在美国停留3年，你就可以
why the EU is amazing. It allows you to get a green card. It allows you to help your family. It doesn't matter if you have an order.
所以这是一个很美好的签证，就无论你有没有缔结定啊，或者什么，或者没有身份，你还是可以直接通到绿卡的道路。
That's right, Victor. And that's why we like to recommend these for people who may not have any other option.
所以我们很建议的提供这个条件，就优签证给那些没有身份啊，没有任何条件可以申请身份的人申请。
Because it doesn't matter what your situation is, if you've been a crime victim, you can take advantage of this.
因为无论你的情况是怎么样，那只要你是一个案件的受害者，你就有可能申请优签证。
Now, Victor, we've sort of covered all maybe the general basics of Uvisa.
我们现在好像已经大约说了基本的优签证的条件，不是吗？
Now, is there anything going on in California right now that the people specifically in this audience might want to know about?
那就好像有没有一些特殊的情况在加州正在进行中，然后我们现场的听众应该要知道呢？
Well, yes, and this is really interesting for people who live in California who might be eligible for U visa.
是的，这是主要针对那些在加州的有可能申请优签证的人。
Starting 2016, the governor, Jerry Brown, signed a law to help U visa victims apply for it more easily.
从2016年开始，加州的州长 Jerry Brown 他签了一个新法，然后让你们更容易的得到优签证。
Now, for background, one of the requirements for applying for U visa is getting a certification from the police. It's a form that they sign saying that you help them.
优签证需要的其中一个条件是，你需要一个警察签名，然后你那个警察签名就说明，我有跟警察合作，有跟他们合作。
Now, in other parts of the country, if you're not in California, for example, a police officer can say, "Oh, I don't want to sign it," even though you help them, they might refuse to sign it.
然后在美国其他地方、其他州，他们那些警察或者执法部门，他们有可能会说，我们不想签名，或者是我们根本完全不会签名，就算他们帮忙了。
Or sometimes, even if they sign it, it takes them like months to send it back to you so that you can apply for U visa.
有时候有可能他们会要很长时间才签名，甚至很多个月才会把这个已经签名的东西送到你们的手上。
This is especially a problem in places like New York where there are a lot of crimes happening. Like, it takes them months to get back.
这也是在纽约发生的情况，因为他们是一个大城市，然后很多犯罪在进行，所以需要很多个月去进行这一个整个过程。
So one of the advantages of the new law that the governor passed is, number one, it requires the police to issue a certification if a victim can show that he really helped the cops.
然后作为这个新的法案出来的好处就是，那如果你有帮警察或者执法部门的忙，那你就可以拿到。
If a victim can show that I reported a crime, I told you who the person is, a cop can't just say, "Oh, I don't want to give you a certification," even though you helped us.
就如果你有一个案件发生，你报警了，你告诉他们，这个人伤了我之类的情况，那警察是没办法说，我不想帮你签。
And the second important thing that this new law does is it requires police officers to give you a certification within 90 days.
另外一个是这个新的法案会要求警察或者执法部门在90天内给你们这个警察签名。
So you don't have to wait forever. You don't have to wonder if you're ever going to get the certification. They have a deadline. They have to do that under California law.
所以你们在这种情况下就不需要考虑太多，因为他们有一个限期，需要在这个90天内把这个警察签名送到你们手上，你们也不需要等太久或者。
Yeah, so the California government is really making it easier for crime victims to come forward and get status for U visa.
所以加州的这个新法律就是为了让你们这些受害者可以更自动的、自愿的说明，有案件发生了，要求帮忙。
Yeah, and that's why if either you or a family member that doesn't have status is the victim of a crime, that's why we always tell people you need to call the police. You need to call 911.
对，如果你自己或者你的家人或者你的亲戚朋友曾经是受害者，你们最好是立即报警，跟警察说。
Because once you start doing that, then you start setting yourself up to be eligible for U visa.
因为如果你就做了这一步，告诉警察的话，那你们有可能就可以继续进行下一步，有可能可以申请U签证。
And once you've done that, then you can consult with an attorney or someone who's knowledgeable, and they'll be able to help you through this process of getting a U visa.
然后一旦你做了这一步，你继续帮助警察或者帮助执法部门，你们就有可能得到这个签名，然后可以进一步的得到U签证。
And in the end, particularly with the new laws that Victor has just described, it really is an option that California people should be looking at if they don't have status.
然后就基于这个新法的内容，那这也是一个很好的选择，可以让你们通过U签证得到身份。
This for a lot of years with high success. So, like I said, or like Bill said, if you know anyone or if you yourself is a victim of crime, you should definitely come to us.
我们律师楼已经做了这个U签证很多年了。如果你们知道有人，或者你有亲戚朋友，或者你自己曾经是受害者，你应该要来找我们。
And that's the end of the presentation. But now we have a few moments to answer any questions if you have any.
这就是我们的演讲内容。如果